Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar this morning. We are so excited to host International Microsystems to present STADIS Intelligence. STADIS Intelligence is a revolutionary SaaS business intelligence and reporting tool rolled up into a unique visualizations on a dynamic dashboard retail management platform. Today, we have Jim Schrader and Bill Deary here to present. Jim Schrader is the founder of IMS and has spent the last 40 plus years in technology and in the retail industry. Bill is a seasoned retail systems engineer and has spent the last 30 years in the retail industry. They also have Scott here from IMS, who is the Director of Development, who can answer any questions that come through during the webinar. So Jim, please take it away.
Okay, well, thank you, Jada, and hopefully everybody can see my screen. So what I wanted to do, and in the interest of time, I'll just jump right in, but wanted to just talk through why did we build such a tool, and you can tell I'm an old IBM guy. Everything's an acronym. So actually, STADIS, STADIS, it's an acronym for Store Analyzer and Data Integration Service. So that's what we've done, and so we build it for a stadium environment. So the same retail pro system that you would all have in your specialty retail, they would have that, but then they have other systems, ticketing systems and food and beverage, parking, et cetera. So we built some things, so we think we've got some very unique qualifications, and then we kind of came back and said, let's just do this for just regular retail. And so that's why we built this thing called STADIS Intelligence. And so the bulk of today is going to be, say, what did we build? So I'll take you through a very brief overview. I'm going to turn it over, as Jada mentioned, to Bill Deary, and then maybe we'll all come back at the end and talk about potential next steps. Okay. So first and foremost, what is STADIS Intelligence? It's a SaaS-based, so it's software as a service. So it's hosted by IMS, and it's a business intelligence and reporting tool. And so what you'll see is that it's very, very easy to use, very drag and drop. You'll see some traffic light dashboards that any column you can put red light, yellow light, green light, and you can specify what's good, what's maybe not so good, and what's bad. Right? So red light, yellow light, green light. So we've got a lot of people that say, yeah, our frustration is we got that 800, 900 page report, and I've got to look for the proverbial needle in the haystack. So we're going to make that very simple to do. A lot of other things, and we've been around Retail Pro for over 30 years, and people, and we started with version 5. I mean, people would always say, hey, there's an out-of-the-box sales summary by store. Hey, I want to be able to say, hey, there's store 1, store 2, all the way down to the total, down at the bottom. I want to see what percentage of store 1 totals is the percent of the total enterprise. So that becomes very, very easy to do without having to go pay for somebody to redesign a report or anything like that. The other thing that it can be run 24/7 as long as you have a browser. So you could be in your store, your home office, on a desktop, a laptop, or you could be traveling or at home looking at things on a tablet or a phone device. You'll be able to see drill down and roll up capability. And, in many cases, I'll talk historically, version 5 and 6 had some kind of cool things in terms of profile, but it was only done at a full DCS, a vendor, and a style level. You couldn't drill down to the specific item, the color size combination, or a store, or anything like that. You'll see very, very easy to do. Lots of KPI reporting. Key performance indicator. There's basically a lot of retail metrics that you'll get out of the box. I'll touch on that in a minute. And one of the things that we're starting to get a lot of discussion and play on is a concept that we're calling data blending. So if you look at Retail Pro, that has all of your actual data in it. And in this case, people will maybe keep a spreadsheet or an outside open to buy system or something that you're going to kind of say, here's my sales targets, my sales goals, your quota, whatever you call it. And then I want the ability to pull that in from that spreadsheet or external system so that now I can get one visualization that's going to show you, here's my plan and here's your actual out of Retail Pro. And then you can create calculations to say, what percentage of plan am I, and things like that. So very simple to do. We're piggybacking off of Retail Pro's multi-language, multi-currency, but our first Status Intelligence customer was somebody in Singapore, and their first stores were in China, South Korea, and Japan, and then they moved to all throughout Europe, North and South America. So what we did is we took a lot of our web kind of stuff that you'll see on the web, and then that's all multi-language, multi-currency as well. So you can go through that. So I mentioned about KPI. So obviously, when we started with version 5 and 6 of Retail Pro, there were I thought, some awesome reports. The first was SRO. So I want to look at my items, but I want to look at it in terms of, the broader view, not just sales, but what have I received? What do I have on order? So sales and SRO, will come out of the box. The other thing that version 5 and 6 have that we still don't have in Prism are what they used to call profile statistics. So we've been members of the National Retail Federation for, going on 40 years, and things like days of supply, sell-through percentage, stock to sales ratios, GMROI, or gross margin return on investment, and inventory turnover rates, or people refer to it as turn. So all of these things will come out of the box. And then, lots of other, shrink and markdown, scales per square foot, et cetera. Over at, towards the, the middle bottom, or the middle right, and the bottom right, you've got these things with the little asterisks, and those are things that are, we would say there are data blending opportunities. So I mentioned one, have you got your sales targets, pull that in. A lot of retailers will have, they want to calculate conversion rates. What percentage of the customers that come in the store actually buy something, and that may, do some things in terms of how do you visually merchandise the store? How do you train your salespeople, to greet the customer, et cetera? But, if you had those traffic counters that you have, we could integrate with those and then, calculate the conversion rates, because obviously Retail Pro has all of the actual data. So unless there's further questions, I'll just, I'll continue on. And this is probably the most common question that we get asked is, okay, show us how this looks in our existing environment. So the first half of this diagram on the left, kind of highlighted in gray there, you'll have your central Retail Pro server, and then you're going to connect via whatever networks that you have in place to remote locations. Those remotes could be warehouses, could be full stores, it could be pop-up locations that you put some sort of mobile device for sales, et cetera. And then from an infrastructure standpoint, and again, I will try very hard not to get technical, but your IT department or, computer companies, whatever, will create some other networking things. And these are important for PCI compliance and things like that. So hopefully you're doing that. And then what would we do? We would come in and put in an API, or basically think about it as a program that every time that we see data get entered into your Retail Pro databases, through ECM or publish subscribe, whatever version of Retail Pro that you have. And then what? We're then going to be able to take that data and then populate. And again, I promise you, I won't get too technical, but there's a couple different ways that we could connect to your environment. That data would come across whatever networks that you've got to a data center that we're hosting Status Intelligence. And then your users would be able to access that data 24/7. So whether it's a full computer, desktop or, tower, whatever, a laptop, and then you can see a couple of these mobile devices, a phone-sized device or a tablet, and then be able to access that. So that's, again, what I try to do is, why did we build this thing, and then what did we build? And then kind of a high-level overview. And then the next portion of this is I want to turn this over to Bill. So Bill, I'll stop sharing my screen if you want to take that over.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jim. Hopefully you can all see my screen at this point. And just to get started, again, as Jim said, I want to be respectful of your time. So this is going to be a high-level overview, and hopefully it will excite you guys as it does us at IMS, and you'll want to take a deeper dive later. If you can see my screen, and I hope you can, you're going to see that I'm actually on stadisintelligence.statis.com. It's a SaaS-based product, as Jim talked about. It's built for Retail Pro 9, Prism 1, and Prism 2. What you're looking at is, after I've logged in, I'm on a dashboard set. Now, you can have any number of dashboards built on a set, any number of folders, or any way that you want to configure it. You can see that I've got buyers dashboards, inventory, KPI full dashboard, simple, mobile dashboard that we think looks better on a smaller screen, reports for people who are still want to look at data in a report view, such as Retail Pro 8, the old B-tree filer reports that are kind of a grid format. We've got a sales detail one, sales executive, and sales orders. And this is what you're going to get out of the box. You're going to get all of these. I think there's somewhere close to 150 different visualizations. For this demonstration, I'll jump into a bunch of these, and I'll start with sales executives. When I jump into a dashboard, immediately you're going to see that data has populated. Now, and again, to Jim's point earlier, this is being built as your data is flowing in. So you can see up top that I've got a title, I've got some filters up here, and we can have any number of different filters for this particular dashboard built that are connected to these visualizations. And you see I've got a bunch of them. So if I scroll down, you're going to see I've got total sales. I've got a percentage, company sales percentage to how I was doing last year compared to this year. I've got some targets. I've got transaction counts, company deposits, returns, transactional information. I've got some forecasting information that we've built into this. And you can see, how would I do if I did 5%, 10%, 25% based on last year's data. Transactional details. I've got bar charts and grids, pivot tables, and these pivot tables, by the way, I look at them and I see a little greater than sign here. I can drill down into another level. So drill down, drill up. I'm back to where I was. And now when I drill down, you're going to see in the title that I'm looking at store department. I can even go further into the department as well and take a look at vendor performance, that kind of thing. So I've got all kinds of different ways to look at data. And as I scroll down, you'll see that, right? Let me continue here. You can see I've got a stacked one. I've got pie charts. Interestingly enough, when I'm working with people and I'm showing them this tool, some people like to look at charts. Some people like to look at pie chart, data. You can see I've got line and bar with two different values on each one. I can drill down to this particular hour if I want, hourly sales. Again, it's giving me the ability to drill down. And I've got all kinds of ways that I can manage my data and actually look at it. You can see I've got company average returns, store average returns, that kind of thing. This one is a cool looking chart. It's actually sales targets, a daily target that we built for a specific customer. You'll get this stuff right out of the box. These down the bottom kind of built like, maybe I have a corporate subsidiary one. I've got a plan of $3 million, but broken down by my stores. This one I want to do 2 million in Boston, 500,000 in Florida, IMS New York. I want to do another 500,000. You can see the percentages. Now, the way that we get these percentages and these calculations into these visualizations is by building formulas. And we can do any kind of algebraic formula that you want. So for instance, if I pop this one out and I go into an edit mode here, you're going to see this is how my visualization is drafted. So you can see that I've got my departments. And again, if I wanted to add another level here for drill down, I could just add this by typing vendor code, right? Now I've got a vendor code. If I don't like that, I just drag it off. Now, getting to the point of how are we looking at data, you could see, right? And when I was scrolling down through that sales executive chart, you could see that I had pie charts, I had bar charts, I had combo charts as well. But there's multiple ways that you can configure your data to look at it. And you can see that I'm connected to the main date filter on this one, but I could add as many filters as I want to each individualized visualization as well. When I'm talking about formulas, and we're all familiar with this FX, right, in the Excel world, when I click on one that has an FX underneath it, you can see how I built this formula. Extended price times 1.05% gives me the ability to look at what my forecast at 5% would be, that type of thing. And again, it's just drag and drop. If I don't like the department name, I take it off, right? If I want to put it back, I put it back. And now I'm just building it. And as I'm building, I'm seeing the data right in front of my eyes. It's incredible. And again, I've been in the Retail Pro Partner channel for about 30 years, and I've seen everything that's been available. When I get to the point that I've done my editing over here and I'm good with it, if I like it, I click the checkbox. If I don't, I click that, discard my changes, minimize this, and get out of my edit mode. Anytime I want to move a chart or a visualization, I just stay on my main page edit mode, and I can drag and drop this wherever I want it to be. So I can organize this the way that I want to look at it as well. If I wanted to take a chart that was complex or a visualization that's complex and make a copy and just change some things, I could duplicate it. All right. Now, if I click out of edit mode, any one of these things, if I pop them out, can also be exported exactly as easy as that, and exported and sent however you want to send it. And this is the sales visualization dashboard that I was just showing you. It's sales executive. Now, there's other ones here that I'll bounce into as well. And you can see I've got a buyer's one. Let's jump into that. And again, all of these visualizations will come to you out of box, and will work with you to adjust them, make them look the way you want them to look. You see I've got active purchase orders, purchase view. And as I'm scrolling down through this one, it's just all kinds of different ways to look at what's going on with my purchasing department. And you can see I've got the same type of thing. I've got some pivot tables. I've got some bar charts. I've got multiple ones where I can drill down into if I want to as well. I'm just kind of going through and taking a look, all kinds of different things. Now, to Jim's point earlier, when he was talking about SRO, all of you using Retail Pro, you're probably familiar with that, sold, received, on order. We've built in all of that stuff into these tables that we've pulled out from your Retail Pro data. So we've got the SRO stuff, we've got the minimum maximum stuff. All of that stuff is built into this product right out of the box. So you don't have to do it. In other words, the data science has been done for you. So you don't have to worry about it. And also in terms of drag and drop, You don't have to worry about knowing any SQL language or anything like that. It's just so easy to build these things. Now, an inventory one, when I click into that, immediately it's telling me what do I have at cost and what do I have at retail, company wide, right? I could do that filtered by store if I wanted to, that kind of stuff. I have store item quantity on hands. Again, I've got pie charts. Now I want to stop here a little bit and talk about this because Jim brought this up when he was going through his presentation. These are what we call the early warning system, or the managed by exception, conditional formatting, red light, green light, yellow light stuff. So if I'm a retailer and I'm looking at this stuff, I'm setting these thresholds easily done to do as well, to tell me if I'm under a certain threshold, give me a red light. On any one of these columns that you build, we can put conditional formatting in as well. Here's a good story from one of our bigger clients that has 13, 14 stores. When we were rolling this out for her, I showed her a gross margin report on return on investment column, and immediately went by store, and one of her stores popped up in the red. And she said, "Oh my God, we were just talking about that as a management team, and we thought something was wrong with that store. But we really didn't know. Now we can see it. It's in the red right in front of us, and it's live data up to the minute as well." So what we did for her is we built it so that she could drill down right to the item level. Within a couple of weeks, they had adjusted pricing and margins in that actual store for the items that were actually causing them to be red, and turned it around. So, and again, we call that managing by exception, right? So we've got all kinds of different inventory charts here, overages by max or min or max, that kind of thing. It's just amazing, the data. And that's an inventory one. And again, I'm going quick here. There's a lot of information to digest in a short amount of time. So when we get through, if you've got some interest, we'll schedule some deeper dives. Now, these I want to definitely touch on, and the KPIs. So KPI full. If I jump in here, what does that mean? KPI, key performance indicators. And again, to jump on Jim's point, in the early versions of Retail Pro, you had the profile data that was pulling in. And again, we've put in some early warning indicators here. Now, I called this dashboard set KPI full because there's just so much information here. So this is by subsidiary, right? And by vendor name when I drill down. But you can see I've got days in period I'm analyzing. Where's my beginning quantity, my current on-hand quantity, average daily inventory cost, quantity sold, extended costs, and it just continues through where I'm looking at, the KPIs, GMROI, stock to sales by quantity, sell-through percent, turn by cost, turn by quantity, days of inventory by cost, days of inventory by quantity, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's phenomenal. And what we've done here is Scott and his team have put in what we consider to be industry standard formulas here on these things. And the reason why I call this one full is because there's just so much information. And what I recommend for people is when you're going to make a new one of these, that you do the duplicate thing so that you're not spending time recreating all of these complex formulas. Another interesting story, did a big chain of stores working with the guy, and he says, "Well, that's great, but we look at turn in a little different way." It was either turn or stock to sales. I can't remember the form. I said, "Okay, that's great. Let's pull it up. Let's put your formula in. Bingo, done. It's that simple." So I've got store KPIs, vendor KPIs, company department KPIs, item KPIs, and all of this comes to you right out of the box as well. It's phenomenal stuff. Very excited about it. And then when I built this one, KPI simple, you'll see the difference when I jump in, and you can see data is changing. Another interesting story. We were working at a big event with one of our clients, and one of our salespeople was sitting down with someone who was building Excel spreadsheets from Retail Pro static reports every hour on the hour, making her own pivot tables. And we showed her this tool, and she was sitting there and she said, "Oh my God, something's wrong." And the salesperson said, "What do you mean something's wrong?" He said, "The data just changed." And he said, "Well, that's because it's live. It's not a static report like you're used to getting in Retail Pro and having to manipulate and manage your data and recreate those reports every hour to fulfill your vendor locations." And you could see that, out of the box, you're going to get some conditional formatting. But again, any one of these can be changed to include conditional formatting on any element you see on any screen, giving you the red light, green light, yellow light. And we can sort by that as well, ascending, descending, just by clicking on a column. And this one, you could see the difference here, right? When I said this is kind of like a simple KPI, I don't have as many columns, so I don't have to drag it over, but I've got the key statistical KPIs built into this one. And again, all of this stuff comes to you right out of the box. And we're glad to work with you to make it look the way you want. Obviously, if you've got 4 or 5 different buyers, they'd each have their own dashboard set, working with their own vendors or departments, however your buying department is doing business. That's a real high level overview in a short amount of time. I'm going to turn it back now to Jim and Jada, and answer any questions that may have come in through this webinar. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bill. I'll go ahead and go through a couple questions if Jim doesn't have anything else prior to questions. All right. So one of the questions, is it available to have access to a test system?
Yes, absolutely. We've done that for a number of different people. There are different ways we can build test systems. We can give you a static database that has stuff that you can play with. That's a demo set similar to what you're looking at on my screen, or we can actually build a full demo set for you. Obviously, there would be a cost involved in doing that.
Okay, great. Is it possible to email the reports?
At this particular point in time, we don't have email capability built into the product. What we found with people is because it's always on, always available, and live, there's really hasn't been a need for our client base that we've implemented this for yet to email. They can always pop in wherever they are, iPhone, iPad, laptop, wherever you are in the world, you can see and view your data. You could certainly export data and email it that way if you want. Takes a couple of seconds, but that's on our list of things that we're looking at in terms of development. Email capabilities not built in yet.
Okay, awesome. I do not see any other questions, so I'll give it a moment. No more. Well, Bill, I appreciate your time, Jim as well. If there aren't any more questions, you would like to schedule a personalized demo with us, or if you would like more information, us and the IMS team would love to assist you. Thank you everyone for attending, and I hope you have a great day.